grand afternoon, grand evening. I forgot to put my beautiful sun on. And I'm getting my tripod before I cook. There goes my fan. Um, so just 1 second, please. Um, as I as I am still setting up right now. I was on TikTok for the last 2 hours, I believe. It's been 2 hours now. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I just tried to set the phone up on a bag of potatoes, and it slid. Still. But that was the bag of potatoes I'm talking about. But yes, hello everyone. I'm still living with family, so you will see junk food in the background. No shade, no shade, no shade, no tea. I went on a bike ride before going on TikTok. And I was wearing a headband and then I took it off because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm gonna shower. But I'm actually gonna wait a little bit and just shower at night and wash my hair. I'm also like doing like a bunch of little things to organize. I'm like, wow, it's 6:49. I need to eat dinner, you know? I don't really want to cut up these cherry tomatoes, but here for dinner, I have green lentils. I don't know if you can quite see them. Hold on a second. And some cherry tomatoes. And I do have, what is this? Rosemary. And I cooked it that way. And then some, what is it called? What is it? I think it's like green split peas or split green peas. What is it? Yeah, green split peas. Oh, hello. I do not speak that language, but that's a cool name and a profile picture, Star. Hello, everyone joining the chat. Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, there's 13 people here apparently. And then these are just the green lentils from this bag. But as you can see, it has. Wait, I think I have to flip the camera for you guys to see this or mirror it. Actually, I don't know what the effects are on here. I'm used to TikTok Live, and I don't want to just flip my camera and then you just see the other side, like what's on the other side of the tripod. So I'm gonna leave it. But this is 9 grams of protein per serving, and per serving is 1/4 cup. So I walked over there thinking the clip was over there. And then with the green split peas, this is 8 grams of protein for the same amount, 1/4 cup. So I'm going to eat a completely plant-based meal, right? And then some fruit with the cherry tomatoes. And then, oh, thank you for the like on the live. And then I have some, well, this is what my mother made in a little aroma pressure cooker thing, is jasmine rice, some green peas, and quinoa. So, well, let me read how much. I was about to guess how much protein was in quinoa, but let me not. 6 grams of protein for the same 1/4 cup. So lentils and green split peas have more protein than quinoa in terms of plant-based meals. So I'm actually gonna use this. Well, no. I'm trying to think because I don't want to do dishes. But I do like using bowls to just eat. But I'm just gonna use this. Because if I use the type of bowl that I want to use, it's gonna make a lot of noise with the fork that I have. And I'm really just over-explaining because I haven't been on live in over a week. There's been a lot of drama that has surfaced and came and went. It was around the new moon solar eclipse. It was a few days before that, a few days after that, and just what I was doing in the meantime while living with family was helping this person, let's just say. And I did a whole live in the park. I believe that was my last live I did. I did a whole live in the park. And it was like, oh, wow. Oh, you guys can't even see what I'm, message retracted. Okay. Thank you for defending me in the comments because it's not that deep. It's really not that deep to say L stream. But this is for my followers anyway. Like, I don't even care if the For You page is pushing my content. Like, it's literally for the people who followed me in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not in it for the views anymore. That put me into psychosis, honestly. Which is what social media wants you to do. They want you to compare your life and see yourself as inadequate or missing out something, the concept of FOMO. And then they want you to just copy whatever people online are doing. And so many people are just anxious and depressed from being online and not going outside enough. So, yeah. But before I go into my monologue, if you are new to the stream or this channel or me, hello, my name is Chaziel. I'm an intuitive reader. I'm a certified life coach. I'm a certified personal trainer, and what's the way to word it? I'm a psychic. I said that in my last live, I believe, as well. But it's like I've been on this journey for so long because I'm different from my family that it's just like I'm always on the back burner type of thing. So it's like I've always felt like, oh, I'm just living life differently. So I don't oftentimes view myself as a part of what's normal or what's accepted in society, or however you want to word it, really. So yeah, I clearly have a lot of things like in my mind right now, so I'm trying to get it all out with this live. But since the last live, I stopped working on the food truck, and that person that I actually said, oh, I'm bringing more harmony into the world, into the universe, they had a communication disagreement, let's just say, and was trying to misrepresent the facts to the family member of mine that they are dating, and just showed how controlling and I really don't even want to talk about it too much because it's extremely low vibrational, and actually, just thank them for the help that they have been doing, because, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this, but they had gifted me a bike, and this is how it turned out, this delicious plant-based meal. And as you just read with me, that is, let's see, I don't think the rice has any protein, but let me double check for the math. 3 grams of protein per 1/4 cup. Yeah, almost at half. For 1/4 cup. And then peas don't really have any protein either, but so let's go again, do the math. The 9 grams with the lentils, 8 grams with the split peas, 6 grams with the quinoa, and 3 grams with the rice. So, wait, was so 998 is 26 grams of protein. 26 grams of protein right here. Delicious, nutritious, right? But anyway, that person, and then I thanked them, and then I was like, I thank you for doing this, for doing this, for doing this, but I don't need your help anymore. And they were really disrespectful in the way that they were having conversation with me, and then they said, get off my get off my driveway, basically telling me to go sit in the street. And then the family member that they're dating and my other family member helped them fix their food truck. So I sat from sunset to pitch black in the sky for an hour, probably over an hour. I don't know. I literally don't own this phone either. So yeah. And I just sat there looking at the stars, praying, saying, please take this energy away from me. Please, help me to disconnect my energy and remove this karma, this cycle. And it was like, then I had thought to myself, you know what? This person never really respected me. I think that the issue with the family member and the relationship is they have drama and they never really fully address it in a healthy way. Like they truly need therapy. So their solution was to just do things to take their minds off of it, raising kids, having dogs, having, their own business, like with the food truck or other things that they've done. And then it's like they try to help people to save their image, but the people closest to them really just feel like they're not able to safely connect. And I don't want to gossip again. This is like talking about it's already low vibrational, and I was going on live and making lives like I want to quit smoking, I want to stop doing this, I want to stop doing that. And just be high vibrational, follow my path, my alignment, mind, body, soul. And then it's like, hey, this isn't aligned, this relationship isn't aligned, and the work that you're doing is actually distracting you. You could be creating intentional community, you could be making videos every day, you could be going live consistently. But I had to just reflect. I had to just pull myself back, from that. Again, and if you haven't watched my last live where I talked about it, please do, because it's like, it was the fact that I was emotionally liberated, but then going back and trying to mend relationships, and then those people start showing their true colors or like validating the my intuition. It was like, whoa, wait, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I still am myself, but you're not gonna step on me or misrepresent me or cuss me out or whatever, just because my family lets you do that to them. Like, whoa, hold on, And then because then it goes from you're helping someone to make a point, or is it you're helping someone to just help someone because you love them, right? And then when it started spilling over into me, it's like this person is trying to like create a hold on my family. And I'm not going to say like names or family members or how they're related to me, but it's literally like this person has been controlling them. And the way that they respond, the way that they view themselves, the way that they emotionally react or have outbursts, it's like they're telling people everything that's wrong with the other person, when really it's like, hey, you can't throw rocks if you're, in a glass house, right? I think that's the phrase, like, don't throw rocks when you live in a glass house. And then it's like, also, my clairsentience is probably my strongest gift as an oracle and a psychic intuitive person. So reading people, like life coaching, personal training is super easy. Super easy to me. Let me tell you that, super easy to me. And the more that I started to practice it, I forgot that I was still seasoning my food. Using some light sea salt. Coarse sea salt at that. A little. It's like I was realizing that I was right the whole time. I just didn't have the proof until that person started exposing my family member, and then they had to whatchamacallit, they turned off this phone that I'm borrowing. Like, it has no service, no data, nothing. So I can't even make videos in the park anymore and like go live in the park like I used to. And I was contemplating like so much of like my channel and what to say, and like, do I really want to film inside of my family's house? Do I really want people to see like, where I live and stuff? But I go on walks all the time and people see like, the what is it, the state or the status of the living conditions anyway, because of the quality of the road and like just the park that I frequent, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was kind of just like super interesting to me. Hold on, let me turn on this light really quick. So, and I also got an update. Nobody in the city fixes Google Pixel phones. So this is literally a dud. And it's deactivated. So I can't get anything from this SIM card, no memories. The songs I recorded on here, what's it called? The poetry that I was writing in my notes app, actually forgot I have to lower this since I'm gonna eat right here too, for this mukbang part of it. And look at this cute little furniture. Cute little side table. Honestly, it looks like it's about to rain outside, so I don't know if this is, yeah, it's not gonna do that much, but really and truly, it's like I am in a position where I'm isolated. I'm literally isolated, and I'm like, okay, Spirit wants me to think about this. Spirit wants me to look into my life and really, like, look into this cycle. Look into this cycle of what's going on with, sorry, I'm reading the comments, but it's like people are just joining and being weird, so I'm deleting them and like reporting people. But I say on my other lives, when I have like a message or like a channeled message, I don't want to like address the comments really, so I could just focus on what I'm saying. And for the people who literally someone saying, do we care? No, go to a doctor. Like, dude, what type of low vibration are you in to just go to a random stream and comment nonsense? Like, now you're timed out, buddy. Congratulations. That's clearly what you wanted. Some attention. There's your attention. Leave. And that's exactly how I felt about that relationship after contemplating. I'm like, I've been in this relationship via proxy to my family, obviously, but they were trying to do things to get in my good graces to fully convince the family, because I'm the intuitive. I'm the one who practices my discernment. I fast, I meditate, I go in nature, and you can tell that I'm grounded because of my aura itself. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of energy that just simply does not get to me unless I let it in. And that's also part of like my reflection when I was going through. And it's like, yeah, I don't need negativity to be produced in this way. I don't need to have a connection to someone who doesn't really respect me or that family member for, if we're being honest, right? Like I said, they need counseling, they need therapy. Because they've also, what I realize is they're trauma bonding. Like they're actually not releasing the past or letting things go. They were trauma bonding together. So now I'm like, I shifted the perspective from, oh my gosh, this person is letting, their partner, like I'm saying in terms of my family member, right? I'm thinking of my family member, like in this dialogue, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, my family member, has low self-esteem. They let people talk to them this way. They really don't like me if this is how their partner talks to me or views me, because the company you keep is a reflection of your beliefs. And I'm being more honest with this family member, and I'm saying this, and I'm talking to them in a way that they understand because they took psychology courses. Like they understand the human brain and development and family systems and communities and how it impacts society, how it impacts your job, how it impacts everything that happens. So I was like, wow, they really don't like me, they don't care, blah blah blah. And then come to find out they're just in a relationship that is keeping things over their head or keeping score of all of the things that they didn't like about them or that went wrong in the relationship. Because I'm doing this shift on the food truck and they're telling me these things. And I'm like, wow. And then I went from someone who was distant and a neutral observer to, oh, let me work on the food truck, let me try to fix this relationship, and let me try to um, have compassion for this family member and see this other perspective. And then it was just like a lot of drama came out. A lot of drama this month in general. It's just so much has been revealed to me. And Spirit has been telling me this like since last year. So I've actually been doing so much shadow work and integration to get to this point of the truth coming out, to get to this point of my energy um, making other people have to be honest and authentic. Because the thing is, when you're someone who's able to see like energy and spirits and really just read into the unseen, right? Or just feel things, like I was saying, clairsentience. But it's like I just know things because I'm able to sense them. And then it's like people feel like, oh, they could read through me, they know what I'm thinking, they know my behavior down to a T. What's it called? It was like someone was saying, your eyes, the spirit behind your eyes, or your eyes are windows from the divine. So whenever you say something, it holds power. Like there's a force of nature behind it. So I've also had to learn, number one, my power and strength, right, on this journey. And number two, I've had to take the poison and the what's it called? The lack mindset and the negative thinking, which are can be categorized as generational curses, right? And I've had to remove them from myself to be able to help my family, number one. And number two, to be able to break the pattern of letting people just step on me or walk all over me or use me and my energy or my acts of service or my company, let's just say, and not do the inner work. So some people are like using me as a distraction or using me as a way to gossip or using me as like um I don't want to say a litmus test, but it's something like that. Like where if the behavior like flies with them, it'll fly with anyone. So that's what I was saying. Like this person was trying to get into a position where they impress the family to just like take more control of like that person they were in the relationship with, and excuse me, and their child. So now I'm like stepping back and like, wow, I was right this whole time. And obviously, it's not gonna fully make sense without the full story. I get that, but the whole point is like I had assumed something about them when it was really I was sensing the spirit behind their eyes wasn't holy, wasn't truthful, wasn't kind-hearted or compassionate. And then like 2 years later, a year later, whatever timing it was, let's just say in between that, a year and a half later, I'm finding out, excuse me, I'm finding out all these things simply because I listened to my intuition and I listened to the voice of God or the creator or spirit. I'm intertwining and like switching out those words, but really I want to be able to go to a point of like complete like just spirit, source, creator, oversoul, something like that. Because the term God is just honestly it's too limiting. And it holds so much of a religious perspective that it doesn't encompass what I'm trying to portray. And that's the other thing too. When I connected with this person, who's dating my family member through doing this food truck, it's like I felt vulnerable enough to tell them about what I was going through before with like drug, self-medication, smoking weed. I hope I don't get this live flag just for saying that. Oh my goodness. Um, and like me and my relation to mental health with having CPTSD and quiet BPD and splitting from a narcissistic type of relationship. And I was also being narcissistic too. So it was like during that time I was in a situationship and it just brought out the worst in me, so to speak. And they were mirroring the avoidant attachment style that I was um uh what am I trying to say? That was like kind of hidden underneath my good intentions and wanting to connect and wanting to have a relationship. But then the anxious avoidant came out with that relationship, and then I just had a really profound spiritual awakening because they had passed on a spirit to me sexually. So then it was like, okay, spiritual awakening and spiritual school. Here's a test. What are you gonna do? And then it was like I was failing. Like if you want to put it in that way as a school, because there's no real spiritual school. It's literally the unseen. Um, so so I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And it's also crazy because none of my family members actively practice their gifts. Every time they use their power, it's normally in like a, I don't want to say life or death, but it's like when they're almost on the verge of like quitting or like giving up or just feel really hopeless, then their gifts activate and then they think it's God or a higher power. And it's really like, hey, you're gifted. This is why you're being attacked, because you're actually stronger than you were taught. So you have strong opponents trying to match your strength. And that was the whole lesson behind the first few tests of the spiritual school, right? But it's like the tests are initiations also. So a lot of what I've gone through and experienced has literally been me connecting with my gifts and the unseen and learning. Like, hey, this is right, this is wrong, this is acceptable, this is what your bloodline did, this is what your bloodline didn't do, these are the the generational gifts and strength that they are giving you. And also, these are the generational curses or limits that you had to transmute and turn your pain into purpose with. So then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting really confused. There's so much stuff here. I need a mentor, I need a guide. And then I was isolated at that time last year. And I was like, literally went into probably, I want to say I went into psychosis 3 times, but the last time was really bad because I was like, I'm trying to remember the word. Because it's like, I have like, whenever I start channeling and like sharing, it's like so quickly, like the thoughts are just to get out, and I'm trying to talk quickly too because I'm thinking very quickly, but it's also like that's the spirit behind me, that's the spirit within me. It's like I want to teach, I want to share with the other oracles, I want people to know that this live, this channel, this intention, excuse me, confirmation, excuse me again, is one that is supposed to help people, one that's supposed to steer people onto their path, right? Life coaching and personal training is literally about teaching people how to care for themselves in a way that benefits their life, in a way that gives them skills and techniques and tools and options to utilize. And obviously, with a personal trainer, it's helping you reach a goal in mind. So, the more you have awareness of yourself and a goal in mind and skills and tools to use, the stronger you become, the more disciplined you become, and the more resilient you are in life. I'm gonna let that. That was so good. It's about to get cold. um. So yeah, I forgot the exact channeling I was talking about before that, but yeah. See, I'm thinking because now I'm thinking too fast that I lost a train of thought. So I'm just ground really quick. Take 3 deep breaths. And here in the present moment. Okay. So going back to the topic at hand, the channel was that I went through these tests and initiations um, to access more of myself. And when you do that, it opens your eyes to things and you can't unsee it, right? If you have an encounter with a spirit that is malevolent or trying to trick you or get into your head and feed you negative thoughts or intrusive thoughts or worry, doubt, anxiety, all those things, and I'm not trying to speak any of those into existence for anyone or my space, right? I'm just sharing this information. Take it or leave it. It's up to you. But when you experience those types of really impactful presences or really strange times in your life or times where you feel like you're just depressed out of nowhere or getting fired from somewhere impacts you more than you thought it would, or that relationship, doing a runner chaser or hot cold um, type of dynamic, um, really, really, really will um, damage your heart, damage your heart space, and on top of that, it will make you question your intuition if you stay in a certain mindset for too long. So, I had, and this is what I'm talking about with going through shadow work, right? Because I went from someone who grew up in a narcissistic type of dynamic family, them divorcing, then still having to deal with both parents differently and then their choices with who they dated, who they had around, um, what jobs they had, having to move with them sometimes, separating, um, blended families at times. Oh, we're engaged. Now we're not engaged. Okay. We just made all that connection and bonding for nothing. Cool. And then having, more relationships around until they got to the partner that they decided to have as their second marriage. And then, oh, that person was doing XYZ to use them for XYZ, divorce, have a nice life, and then it just cycles, endless cycles. It seemed like when I was a teenager. Oh my goodness, was I an angry, crash out, self harm inflicting, um I think erratic comes to mind, type of person. And I was called bipolar oftentimes, and it's like, imagine someone being emotionally unavailable and dictating the moves you can make in life because you're financially dependent on them, and also they don't want you to have autonomy, and also they want you to just fit in and do whatever it is they did. They don't actually care about your dreams. And then they want to be like, well, let's just watch TV and have pizza night. Or let's just, go out to eat once a week and sit and watch TV and don't say anything to each other and just talk about the movie. It's like, what type of life is that? What the, you know? And going from that to just being like, okay, I want to do trade school and, other things in life. I want to help people. I want to be an artist. I want to be a social media influencer, all these things. And it's like, then as you get older, linking it back to life coaching and personal training, because the intersection of that is biomechanics and neuroscience and something else, but it's like the mind body heart, like the gut heart brain connection, mind body soul, mind body spirit. I interchange soul and spirit when I talk about those three things, but when they are impacted with negative environments, with unstable relationships, with constantly changing community, let's just say, it's hard to distinguish yourself and use your willpower. And I made a lot of mistakes. And I have often mirrored the people around me. And like I said, with that situationship, a lot of it has just brought out the worst in me. And then you're around people who don't really want to see you succeed, and they demean you or bully you or degrade you or abuse you physically, emotionally, or they abandon you or exclude you from things. And it's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Just get a job, work a 9 to 5, and do what we're doing for the rest of your life. And then it's like, okay, I'm still living with my mother. I'm still living with my extended family. I'm still living with my father and step family. I'm still living with, whoever, right? But I never moved out at 18. I didn't do that. Like, I'm trying to go on live more to just explain my life story and why I'm so passionate about things, because eventually I'm going to write material and courses and programs to help people who are literally in my same position and just haven't had that spiritual awakening. Because also what a spiritual awakening is, it's like what people say, hitting rock bottom, right? Any time that you as a human being encounter trauma or have a history of traumatic abuse, it lives in your body, in your fascia specifically, and a lot of the times in your hips. So when people do yoga, when people work out more, when people go outside and walk and stretch and do things like go to parks if they have like, activities at the park or machines, excuse me, so you can work out while you're outside, right? Stuff like CrossFit where they put like bars or balancing stuff. Um, Simple, right? But anyway, it's like those people start unlocking their memories because it's where the trauma is stored in your hips, in your back, your lower back, in your um, solar plexus, right? Your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus, the lower three chakras, right? Those are all linked to specific qualities and traits that we have to embody as a human being to be balanced, to be grounded, to be clear-minded, to be connected to source, right? So the more trauma you have, the less you are able to connect to yourself and source. That's why yoga teachers, yogis, monks, um, clergy members, let's just say, like religious teachers, are the way that they are and come across the way that they do because they sit and meditate, because they surround themselves by people whose energy is pure, whose intentions are to help people who have the same purpose they do. So when they're tested, they already know how to handle it. Or they have found ways to release the past completely. So there's no more tests, right? If you love yourself completely and whole as you are today, in the here and now, and you don't live in the past and you're not overthinking about the future, all you have is right now. All you have is the present moment. So the more that you release your past physically and mentally, right, the more you start to remember things, the more you start to get into who you actually are and utilize your creativity, your passion, your willpower, your vitality. Let's just say vitality, right? And the more that happens, the easier life gets for you. The more you will be able to pass through these tests or these initiations in your life. And studying Buddhism and Hinduism and just all sorts of religions and ways of life, right? Mysticism is so incredible. Oh my goodness, because there's mysticism in every religion. So that's why I'm like, I'm not religious. I'm not. I even struggle a little bit with the term spiritualist now because so many people are fake and spiritually bypassing and not doing the work on themselves. They're just like, oh, book this reading. Oh, do this love spell on this person to get them. And, that's also teaching people psychosis. A lot of spirituality and the whole manifest your dream life, manifest this and that in your life. Sure. Okay, teach people how to manifest, and then what? I know Alan Watts. I know Dolores Cannon. I know Nikola Tesla. I know these people who speak about manifesting and being one with the universe and co-creating and this and that and this and that about the self. And still, you have to be able to do the work before you fully receive what it is that is meant to be in your life, right? And someone was saying to me online, because I was typing under a video, and they spoke about Gnosticism and mysticism together. And I was like, oh, this is very interesting, but it doesn't click with me. It doesn't connect with me. And it's solely because that's not my purpose to connect with that. Maybe it made sense for them because they sent back paragraphs of answers. And they're like, karma is just a loop and it's related to, I don't even want to say the names for these characters, right? Because I have no idea. I've not read any books about Gnosticism or mysticism or anything like that. But it didn't click with me. It didn't click with me. I didn't sense relief. I didn't sense a connection to the universe when they were talking about Gnosticism, because Gnosticism is literally saying the God that's created here was a mistake and now it's trying to control this planet, and reincarnation is the way of them controlling our energy and the planet and putting us through constant tests and cycles. I'm like, what? And I didn't want to again engage in low vibrational anything, but I replied to the comment after reading it, and I was like, interesting. I need to go meditate on this. And then the person who had replied to me thumbs it up, but I'm like, I get religious trauma and psychosis, but for me to completely believe that there's something outside of me controlling me and the entire earth and the cycles of our life to influence us to stay in a low vibration and constantly live that way for eternity, like, no, what? Like, literally what? Because that's the other thing. There's so many things in the Bible and Christianity that just don't make sense because of how much it's been edited and the translation errors and simply the false prophets that kind of took the baton with whoever gave that to them, let's just say. But it's literally supposed to be examples and parables about connecting with eternal love, Christ, Yeshua, but Christ consciousness. And then taking Christ consciousness and having compassion for everyone because you trust and you are one with everything. And then it speaks about how after Yeshua was crucified, they rose again and they said, I am within the kingdom of heaven and I am not apart from God and God is not apart from me. And the kingdom of heaven is not a physical place that my followers should fight for. They fight for me in the spirit. And there are so many Bible verses that I can point out and like pick out and share that it's not a physical place, it's an internal place. And the more you raise your vibration and empty your vessel, but release your concept of self and attachments to things, Buddhism, the more that you are able to be in bliss and peace and serenity and love. And if everyone on the planet is like that, imagine, the concept of having heaven on earth, eternal bliss, eternal peace, no wars, no conflict, no nothing but love and acceptance. And then supposedly the kingdom of heaven will come to earth and God will take all of their people and leave this earth in perfect harmony and peace. And it's like, okay, very simple, right? What happens if you don't do that? And then there are stories and parables of people who listened and followed their calling and emptied their vessel and their spirit and used their intuition so that their gifts can be used for the kingdom of heaven or for peace on earth, right? Unconditional love. And then there are those in the story who confirmation. Let me just sit this down. I'm talking too much. I'll heat up in a bit. And it's like I was talking about with those spirits, right? You are tested on this earth. You are tested on this earth. I promise you. That's why I made a whole live about soul contracts. Because, like me, some people have experienced so much pain and struggle and strife, and then they transformed it in whatever way, right? Transmutation is transmutation. But they channeled or used an outlet and they shot off like a rocket. Cat Williams is an amazing story of that. Cat Williams is very famous, had I want to say one of the most viral interviews in a while at the beginning of 2024, and then after that, everybody just wanted to interview Cat Williams. Cat Williams, Cat Williams. What is Cat Williams going to predict? What is Cat Williams going to say? And it's like, whoa, that's an example of someone who is letting their intuition lead them and the Holy Spirit, as they say in Christianity, fill their vessel. And they're using their gifts to show, hey, this is what we're doing over here. I know you're tested. I know there are spirits that are malevolent or dark or negatively influencing people, but we're going to call it out over here and then go back to using our gifts and go back to being blessed and highly favored. So to me, it's like so much of the Bible just makes sense when you read it as a reflection of yourself and that's why I trip out so much, because it's like I know the gravity of personal training, of cleansing your body, of strengthening your body, because it strengthens your mind and it makes you more aware of yourself. And that's why the whole personal training with life coaching is a way to completely transform someone. I hope you get that. It literally, if put together, right, with the grounding, with the spiritual grounded lifestyle, with the spiritual mentorship, with the spiritual teaching, it will literally make you ascend out of darkness, ascend out of ascend out of spiritual bypassing, right? Because you can't be stuck on anxious, depressed, worried, doubtful, and taking action, and being grateful for your body, and taking care of your body. Right? Those two things, gratitude and anxiety, cannot occupy the same space in your brain at the same time. That's why affirmations actually work. It rewires your brain. Neuroplasticity. A very good example for neuroplasticity. The same thing with life coaching, right? Because the life coaching training that I went through was a year-long school. And then at the end of it, they're like, great, all of these tools and practices that we've worked on every single week, right? We met once a week for a year straight. So it's like you have literally so many tools that you were able to experience. And then we were in quarters, and each quarter we had a different group with us. So we understood how these tools and challenges impacted us each week, but also other people around us. That was the most safe space that I've ever been in, was when I was in that school, in that class, in that building, doing those things. So, and then they also have like what's called like an introduction weekend. And then before graduating, you would have to volunteer at one of those introduction weekends while you're doing the year-long course. But a lot of people would just wait until the end of their quarter and then do that. But it was also all ages. So anyone from 18 to like 80 was in that life coaching year-long thing. So I got so much information about people. And at the very same time, I didn't start trade school and this year-long life coaching program at literally the same time, but it was like I started trade school, and then a few months later I started this year-long life coaching thing. So I'm learning about all these different types of people, learning all these tools, learning about how actually messed up my childhood was, and how dynamics and real loving families act by hearing personal experiences. Like, I'm talking extremely vulnerable. Like, these are group therapy sessions, basically. Just contained. Like, we had certain things to focus on, basically. But I'm doing that, right? And then I'm going to school in the downtown of Chicago, Illinois, at the very same time. And the school, well, I don't know how far away the schools were from each other, but they were both in Chicago. So I'm literally expanding myself so much, right? I'm like stretching out like a starfish, like being so trusting, and like I literally just oh my gosh, like I'm thinking about that, all those experiences and moments in my life. Just woo! I just got the chills, or the spiritual shivers, as they like to say. But it's like I literally had my whole matrixing and programming from my upbringing shattered. And I had moved, like I said, I moved around my whole life, and I had gone to so many different therapists since my parents' divorce. Just me and one other person, and it's like all they could tell me were responses to how I felt and validating my emotions. But then you could only say, I'm sorry that happened to you, or that's not right, or that behavior shouldn't continue, to then just be like, well, because one psychologist straight up, like, he was saying my stepbrother and me. So there was like one moment where I said something, and then he had to take that into the session with my stepbrother. And then eventually, one of the last few sessions, I think it might have been the second to last one, or the last one, I'm not sure. Because this was before COVID, now that I'm talking about it. But they literally said, you know what, I think that when you move out and get into your own career field, you will be perfectly fine. Like, you will feel normal, you'll feel healed, so to speak. But they're like, you're gonna be okay. I promise you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine. And it was just like someone was pumping encouragement into me, and like helping me to be vulnerable, to then going off into trade school and this year-long life coaching program. And then right before that, I came out of boot camp. So I didn't stay, is what I'm saying with that. I did boot camp for almost what was it? I think it was like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Yeah, I don't even recall that either, because that was such a low vibrational time in my life that it's just out of my memory. Like, I don't want to remember it, type of thing. But then I went to those schools, and I'm like, I could actually be anyone that I want to be. I'm actually not bipolar. I'm actually not all of this criticism and judgment, and just someone to take care of the dogs and wash the dishes and be there when my little brother comes home to supervise him. Like, holy crap. What? Like, it was almost as if I was not a human being before doing those 2 schools. And what I mean by that is, like, I was literally just going on autopilot for a lot of my life. And then I'm getting older, and I'm remembering my trauma. I'm remembering these things that happened. I'm like, whoa, working this part-time job, working this full-time job, whatever it was, at that time. It's like, wait, I can't focus on this because my trauma is coming up, because my memories are surfacing, because my frontal lobe has developed. Like, whoa, slow down. And then I got into like self-medicating and addiction because I was addicted to the tramadol medication they gave me for having a broken arm. So that was an extremely toxic cycle. That's part of what I was saying when I was talking about having CPTSD and quiet BPD, but um, doing like lashing out on people and then like instantly feeling shame and regret and just like being to myself. And it was like a push and pull dynamic in my relationships, and I'm like, what's really going on? And I'm so grateful for my passed on grandfather at now, but at the time he was the person who introduced me to this year long life coaching program, and he paid for the deposit for me to go to trade school. So he was really pushing me to just like hang in there, really and truthfully. So when I would go to these classes, I would stay at his house, or if I was working on some trade school project and I was at you know, at the school utilizing their editing software, their recording software, just their whole Adobe Cloud suite. And I would stay late, or again, have to film these group projects in downtown Chicago. Um, Gosh, it was so fun back then. My goodness, 2018 was such a vibe. Um, for me personally. But yeah, it was like I would stay at my grandpa's house. I'd be like, oh, I'm not gonna make it back tonight. I'm gonna stay at my grandpa's house, and that was the space and the room that I needed to actually let the information that I was receiving and all these new experiences fully integrate and settle. And then over time in small increments, I became a new person. And then I decided, to go out into the world and be like, oh, and I got into again the self medicating, experimenting with different things, like getting piercings. I wasn't allowed to get piercings, dye my hair that much, makeup. Like I literally had such a sheltered, estranged childhood that it's like I was not even a fully complete person, if I'm being honest. Like that, and that's also what I mean by returning to wholeness or oneness, is because we go through these experiences in life and we forget that we're connected to source. We forget that we're already whole and have everything that we need. We forget that the birds, the insects, the animals are always taken care of, and we're way more intelligent and cared for as human beings than those animals, yet we still worry. And then we start to just close off slowly and become hermits, or people who isolate themselves, or people who self sabotage, or get into relationships that are really damaging over time. Really damaging over time. And then that's, again, where trauma bonding comes in, where confirmation, excuse me, because I was just talking about that earlier too. Um, excuse me. Um, but trauma bonding is also what I had experienced with my family, with specific family members. Of course, not every single family member. Um, but for a lot of it, it was like my presence and the way that I had such a pure heart and like a kindness and a draw to nature, to vulnerability, to softness, to being gentle, being understanding and open to the world instead of just listening to propaganda and whatever society wants us to believe, or narcissistic controlling people wanted us to think like. I was the exact opposite of it. So again, that's where a lot of times my abandonment wounds would come in, because I would get excluded, I would get ridiculed, or I would do something that mirrored them, and then they'd call it out when I did it, but it was okay when they did it. That whole concept of rules for D that don't apply to me. Personally, I don't think that should ever be a phrase. That should not exist. That is terrible behavior. But I don't control everyone. I just send love to everyone. And also, with all these experiences and tests, it's like I don't respect everyone. Actually, I don't. And then I had to like stop myself with being like, I don't respect everyone. I don't love everyone. And it's like, wait. I do love everyone. I just don't respect the version of that person that they are portraying. Because the other part of duality and polarity that happens on this earth is that sometimes something bad will happen so you could turn it into a lesson and utilize that to keep yourself safe or learn from that experience to fully walk away, to fully exit, to fully break off from that person. And that's what me quitting the food truck and saying, thank you for your help with XYZ, I don't need your help anymore, was. Because I already learned the lesson. I've already learned that they're not a safe person. I've already learned that they don't speak highly of me. They don't think highly of my family members. They are not a safe person to connect with. They're a controlling person. They're a rude person. I could say all these things about them, but ultimately, the lesson has been learned. I've seen them for who they are. I've probably, looking back in the past, I could have acted differently. I could have completely disconnected from that family member and not had to deal with the drama of it all. But, since I learned the lesson now, I was able to receive the information now. It wasn't about me doing magic, me doing spells, me doing anything. It was simply the fact that I learned the lesson and I chose, to not continue to be in that cycle to get more tests or lessons. And that's it. You cannot stay comfortable in your life and try to grow at the same time. Your comfort zone is the opposite of where you grow, actually. Oh, I do not know that language either. And their username is in a different language. Hello. So, I'm gonna heat this up really quick. But when you learn the lessons in your own life, you have the choice to break the cycle or stay in that cycle. Because the thing about awareness and intuition and being connected with yourself is you can still make the choice to not practice what you've learned. You can make the choice to stay stagnant. Everything in life is a choice. And the other part is when you understand Buddhism and the Eightfold Path, right? It literally helps you to detach. It helps you to understand the root of attachment is also the root of suffering. So when you're attached to someone that has already shown you these characteristics and these traits and these qualities that you don't approve of and that aren't healthy, and they're actually making you shrink and dim your light, so to speak, then that's someone you don't want to engage with. So you could choose to suffer and engage with them and deal with their drama and manipulation and control and whatever unsafe, low vibrational, mannerisms. Or you can reflect on it and say, what is this relationship really trying to teach me? Or what is this argument really trying to teach me? What is this feeling that I constantly get around them? What is that trying to teach me right now in this very moment? And then I had to reflect on the ways that I had some traits that they were portraying. I've had times where I sit and let behavior or conversations or, let's just say, interactions with others that bothered me, I let those things pile up, and then sometimes I address it, and it's like, um, that thing about bottled up emotions and then exploding. I've done that before, just like that person. I've also done things, and stayed in relationships I know were not for me, and I have self sabotaged, like I was talking about with that situationship, but also I was in a committed relationship that literally we just didn't see the world the same way. And we still decided to give the relationship a try because we had so much in common and we're working in the same place. And then we're like, hey, we hang out all the time, let's date. Hey, we're dating, working at the same place, hanging out all the time, let's save money, move in together. And then we really learned about ourselves. So I then um, had to, again, look at myself. What is it about me that is choosing to suffer in this environment, in this relationship, in this job, whatever it was? And I quit all of those things in that situationship. I broke up with them, and then a few days later, I quit the job. And that's the thing, never, never date in your workplace, please. I know that we don't have many third spaces here in the US, but never date in the workplace. And the other thing with that serious relationship was, what you call it, was that it's okay to try things outside of your comfort zone. It's okay to let people mold and shape you to think differently, to expand your knowledge, to I don't want to say challenge your beliefs because you don't want to be with someone who's constantly challenging your beliefs, right? But someone who helps you look at your beliefs with a different perspective. Because sometimes the thing is, we get lost in routines or in our beliefs or in the things that we really thought we were conveying, and it doesn't translate all the time. Um, so being in that relationship really taught me resiliency, um, and to just not rely on others so much for their validity, for their opinion, for you know, for wholeness. And then I chose, actually, after that that person broke up with me, I got into Buddhism because that was around the second time I went into psychosis. So yeah, because then I had to live with them after being broken up with them, and then other things happened, and those were tests, really, because it was like boom, 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 like three things happened right after the other, and I was like, man, I want to give up. Holy crap, I want to give up right now. And then I had to like actually learn about my bloodline and shamanism and the forest spirits and Mother Gaia and all those beautiful things that root us and call us home. Right back. I don't even know. Y'all heard all of that. I seasoned my food a little bit more. Heat it up again. Alrighty. Thank you for this delicious meal, Spirit. Thank you. Here's you some. So, it was an hour and 16 minutes in since I started making this. Funny enough. But yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to go live more often so that I can channel clearly without being interrupted. And also I eventually want to do tarot again. But I've been really listening to spirit, listening to my body, slowing down. So I'm not stuck in the same cycles, because that cycle that I was talking about with like fully disconnecting, saying like, thank you for helping me, but I don't need your help anymore. That was a 9-year cycle of, excuse me. Excuse me. With that person, with that relationship. So even though we're different today, in how we live, where we live, what jobs we have, what we're doing, right? It's still the same dynamics. So now that I've changed the dynamics and I've fully stepped away, karma, or the result of their actions, is going to catch up to them. I'm not someone who needs to see through their intentions anymore, or safeguard them, or try to give them the benefit of the doubt, because their actions and the consequences of their actions will catch up. And should the people around them decide to, enable this person's behavior, or not call them out on their behavior and still stay attached, their actions of their consequences will now shift to affect those around them. So it's about the degrees of influence, because now I have stepped out of their degree of influence. They can only ask people about me, and I don't have a phone either. So it's like, whatchamacallit, I'm literally out of their territory. Physically, mentally, spiritually, all of that. I have detached from this person. And I did it the day of, what was that? It just happened last Saturday also. So I'm like, last Sunday. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what? And it's Wednesday. So it was around that new moon solar eclipse time frame. Very intense energy, and I think that's also why the decision impacted me in such a way, because it freed up a lot of space and energy that I was holding on to. And it was weighing me down to just have my self-concept tied to what this person and the family member they're dating thinks of me. Extremely draining, let me tell you. Extremely draining. And I've seen the person I'm talking about, the family member, change so much just from being in proximity, in relationship, in the same, having similar responsibilities with this person. I mean, sharing responsibilities, not having similar responsibilities. Well, it's kind of the same thing, but I meant to say sharing the same responsibilities as that person. So yeah, and there was also a reason why I was never able to fully connect with them, or what they would do to engage with me. And then it just turned into slander after that. So I'm like, yeah, something's just off. But like I was saying, I didn't see it before because I wasn't doing the work. I wasn't integrating my shadow enough. So a lot of times I just mirrored people right back to them. I'm like, you know what? This is unfair. People know what's fair and they're not treating me fairly. I'm going to do to them what they're doing to me. And then, after I got in relationships, I started seeing that, hey, you mirrored people long enough in certain environments, you become exactly like them. And some of those traits were passed on to me, either genetically, through behavior, whatever it is, degree of influence. But some of those behaviors were passed on to me, and then I would get triggered in these relationships, and I'd be like, wait, you're not actually mad at that person, you're mad at that family member, you're mad at that parent, you're mad at that person that impacted you so deeply at such a young age when your mind was still forming. Um, so a lot of it is like, hey, you have come a long way, celebrate yourself. Don't self sabotage. Don't look to having possessions, addictions, like, oh, retail shopping to feel better. Retail therapy, I think is what some people call it. Oh, retail therapy. Oh, let me overwork myself with 2 part-time jobs and a on-call job. Oh, let me just get high every single night. Oh, let me just be in this relationship that only um, satisfies my flesh. It was so many things that I could talk about, really and truly. Um, but it's like I was mirroring people, and then I was not realizing that I was mirroring people until I had started hitting these rock bottoms. Because I'm like, what? Why is this happening? Or why did that happen? Or why is this um, acceptable? And it's like, hey, this is your vibration, and you're attracting your vibration back. Or hey, these are the traits that you point out in others because it's something within you. An insecure person dating an insecure person is not going to be a good match ever. Just like an anxious avoidant and an avoidant is not a good match. It's not. It doesn't last. So I started taking my spiritual journey very, 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 very seriously. After 3 years ago. But I've been on a awakening journey my whole life. Everybody is. They forget who they are and then they remember. Cycle of life, this whole process. And I forgot to say the benefit of grounding in spiritual mentorship, right? Just like personal training is about having tools and creating a new self concept. Um, with life coaching, personal training is about creating a stronger mindset, pushing yourself, strengthening yourself, and having a better, what's it called? A better way to release your emotions. Um, or let's just say a healthier way to take care of your body and release emotions. And then with the grounding and spiritual mentorship or spiritual coaching part of what I'm trying to integrate with all three is that you will create new ways of thinking. So the voice in your head, you're able to differentiate between the BS or nonsense from people, negative influences, the world, whatever it is, I don't know. I just threw that in because we're literally being influenced by technology and the masses don't even care, but that's fine. Um, so with the grounding, it teaches you how to think in a more loving way. And sometimes with religious trauma, religious upbringing, religious psychosis, whatever you want to call it, um, you start to view um, the voice in your head or the creator as an extremely judgmental, tormenting, controlling figure or thought in your mind or influence over your life. And some people literally don't know that because they were taught to view religion um, as a way to override what the world is doing. They also make it a way to criticize themselves. Excuse me. Because they're like, well, don't be like the world, do this. Or confirmation verse. Don't do this, do that instead. Or if you do this, you're going to hell. If you do this, you're gonna die. If you do this, you're gonna burn in flames. Like so many things that people were just influenced to shame themselves. And it's like when you learn how to ground your energy instead of looking for something to quote unquote save you or make sense of your life, the more control you take over your life. So if you're someone who's strengthening your mind and your body, someone who's utilizing tools and creating a better self concept, and someone who is grounding themselves and their whole entire aura, basically, grounding themselves, their energy, their aura, and creating a new, um, less critical, more uplifting, more grateful voice in their head or guiding voice that they interact with, or let's just say spirit, guiding spirit that they interact with, you ascend. You literally ascend. You literally ascend. You literally ascend. Past being a human, past the human experience, if you will. You still have to walk the human experience just like me, right? Everybody does, even if they're gifted, even if things in their life go like this, you still have to live it, right? That's the point of being a human. Being able to feel this deeply, being able to understand people on a soul level, being able to be vulnerable with someone and having a healing exchange, right? Valuing things like having a phone, a tripod, a fork, some food, right? Senses, sensing things, touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing, feeling, knowing, all of those things we take for granted. And we take it for granted because the society and the world wants to push us out of our bodies, wants to push us out of our own minds, wants to push us in a direction that closes our heart and turns off our minds. And that's truly why you see sickness or evil or destruction prevailing. Because we have a society that goes, I don't need to focus on myself, I don't need to work on myself. Let me just look outside. Let me look externally. Let me look to this substance. Let me look to this relationship. Let me look to this belief system. Let me look to this career. Let me look to this family member. Whatever it is. Whatever is influencing you to look outside of yourself is harming you over time. And I really want the intention of what I'm doing on live and on this channel to come through. Because I have been stalled with posting my poetry and my music and certain things that I wanted to have curated a certain way to be professional and actually get more people to understand who I am and where I come from. Internally, I'm saying. But that was also a lesson. Like, hey, trust that right now you do not need to do this. You have some more internal work to do. You have some more things that are divinely timed and aligned for this part of your life. Like I was saying about learning after 9 years the truth of how they felt, the truth of the relationship, the truth of their struggles that was attached with that family member and that relationship that they're in. And it's like so much is going on online as well that it's intentionally being done to lower people's vibration. I took a what was it, like almost 2.5 month break now, but it was a 2 month break from TikTok. And before that break, I was seeing people dealing with the kidnappings from the ICE agents and the stuff, overseas with the genocides and the famines and the pillaging of resources and the algorithm that just wanted you to feel rage bait. And I made a post on TikTok. I made quite a few yesterday, but excuse me, confirmation. One of them was like, I've finally come back, and it wasn't worded like this. I'm just trying to word it to put it in perspective here. But it was like, I finally come back to the energy that I was looking for, in a way. Um, and what I was seeing on TikTok was a reflection of that, because I was no longer seeing such low vibrational or negative or emotion triggering, rage inducing videos. And by that I mean like political content or people literally just being rude to others or possessive. Um, to seeing like videos of animals, people going on vacation, traveling abroad, um, cutesy queer content, big non-binary right here. Um, people utilizing their gifts to help others. People um, who understand their oneness. More Hindus, more Buddhists, more monks, more teachers, more actual aligned spiritualists. But again, that label doesn't even encompass them, because they're people who are actually doing these things for their collective, right? I'm still building my collective, but I know if I'm, actually showing more of who I am and consistently going on live, like I was saying, then I would be able to grow an audience. I had one TikTok account that was shadow banned, and I had to delete it, and then I made another one, and then I changed the name of that one, and then I started going on live. Um, so yeah, and then I had like a backup secret one that I was kind of doing like a little bit of thirst traps. But they're like dancing, belly dancing videos, stuff like that. Not really showing my face. And then I started like curating a bunch of things towards gaining an audience. Then I was like, this is not really me. Because then I would comment, certain things, advice, messages, whatever spirit was telling me, because they were putting these videos in front of me for a reason, right? And then I was like, they clicked on my, that person could have clicked on my profile after being like, oh, thank you so much. And they just see someone who's not even embodying what they're actually verbally saying. So it was like the physical concept of me versus the intellectual concept of me were not like coming together or not being portrayed as such. And that's what I'm kind of working through, but struggling a little bit with now, because it's like so many of my daily habits and reactions when I interact with people are defense mechanisms from being in survival mode. Um, and if you've had a childhood, right, talking about CPTSD, if you had a childhood with certain things happening, you become invisible over time. You become avoidant, like I was saying, anxious avoidant, right? I had a mixed attachment style at one point. Like I was just attached to anyone and everyone that paid attention to me and remembered things about me. Like the lady who worked at the deli meat department of the grocery store I worked at one time. The person who took my order at a Thai restaurant and remembered me. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. The person who wanted to continually do my nails, Um, just like really little things that the universe was sending me, like, hey, people love you, people care about you. Um, and then just getting super attached. Um, and that's also what the situationship taught me. It was like, hey, you do not need to attach yourself to everyone who has interest with you. And then now the lesson that I just integrated was not every action needs a reaction. And before that, which was another hard lesson that I had to integrate, and that's also why it took so long, was let me think real quick. So good. This is a great mukbang because I literally forgot on my food for a second. But it was the lesson about let people be wrong about you, like let them, that whole concept. Um, and how multiple versions of you can exist within someone's um within the world, right? Because you can interact with someone and be super kind and polite, and then with someone else that you meet during the day, let's just say a random stranger, right? They don't open the door for you, and it slams in your face before you walk into somewhere. It's like then you say something to them in a reactive way, um, and then they're like, "Wow, that person was really angry. They're rude." And then you could have a relationship where that person was head over heels attached to you, wanted to hang out with you all the time, wanted to be intimate. And then someone, within that same year that you were pursuing or trying to date, be like, oh, I like you only for these certain qualities, and I'm not going to connect with you very often. And then it's like, oh my gosh, who am I, right? Like, that whole thing about really figuring out who you are through relationships um taught me like multiple versions of you can exist in the world. You're not going to please everyone, and that was hard because a lot of my childhood in the religious trauma was people pleasing. And at a certain point I went through OCD and perfectionism, um with doing like speech and debate club and drama club and JROTC and what was the other thing? Ballet, taekwondo, dance classes from middle school to high school. So it was like so much of my identity was around doing things correctly, um, and trying to please the society that I was in, my parents, church, my peers in class, all those things. So it was quite profound for me to practice detachment and letting people be wrong about me. It really was. And I'm gonna let that simmer for a second while I eat, because the thing is, we know who we are deep down, but when we let people influence us, that's when we start to change. And people can influence you obviously for the better or for the worse. That's why they say in the their marriage vows are like in sickness and in health, for better or for worse, for rich or for poor. A lot of them say that, right? Um, but that's a real thing. That's a real vow and relationship you should have with yourself, first and foremost. It's true. Very true. With lentils and rice, it's so good. It's actually not that much quinoa. So I'd say like 20, 22 grams of protein in this, but it's really good. This is my Hindu plant-based meal. And I also learned in like Asian, let's just say Asian countries in general, but specifically like India, Nepal, Tibet, you know, Vietnam, they use a lot of plants. They use curries, lentils. They steam and stew and boil, make teas out of plants. They make juices, um, baked goods. They have so many different ways of cooking one thing, or what's it called? Making so many different things that boost their immune system. I'm trying to think of like an example, but I don't know the names of them because one of them, I was just watching um, someone like review a restaurant, and they had like the actual names of them, and then in parentheses the English names for them. So they had the name for it, right? But then it was like pumpkin, or like steamed pumpkin, or curried green lentils, or red lentils, or tofu, like stuff like that. I'm saying. So it was quite interesting to see just how much plants they use, like the Mediterranean diet as well. Um, excuse me, the way it's so easy to be a vegan or someone who lives off of plant-based meals, just because they have so much variety, and they use um, like 3 or 4 different things in small amounts. So just like with this meal, like you wouldn't guess that this was over 20 grams of protein in it, right? About, right? But when you sit down and analyze what's in each of the things, you're like, oh wow, 20 grams of protein, and it doesn't look like it. That's what they do with like stir fries. What's it called? Um, excuse me, the pho. Excuse me, the curry, tiki masala, paneer. Gosh, paneer is so good. Um, with the, it's not called empanadas. I think that is what paneer is. But it's like they fry like peas, potatoes, and other things, and then they fry in dough. Um, it's like a snack. Yeah, I think that is what paneer is. I forgot. I don't. I literally just forgot what that means. Oh my gosh. Um, but I don't want to end live to look up what I'm channeling. Um, so yeah. Um, but they also don't use a lot of chemicals, a lot of greasy things, a lot of they don't have a lot of toxic things that they eat. So I think personally Asian cultures are the most preserving and fulfilling cultures to live in. I could say that as a person who's mixed and has um, Caribbean ties, right? But my mother is from Dominican Republic, so half Dominican, right? Um, if you want to just view it that way, but it's like the diets that they use and the ways that they cook things is really terrible. Diabetes, cancer, just they oh my gosh, like I get so frustrated because I cannot give like medical advice to the elders because they're like, "Oh, that's not right in our culture." Like my mom called me out because my grandma came back from church and she was eating a chocolate bar, right? But she wouldn't eat a papaya because she said it's too much sugar in a papaya. It's too much sugar in certain fruits. And I'm like, you eat white bread and chocolate bars. I didn't say that, but I'm like, that's not good for you. The chocolate bar is not good for you. Like, you should drink the papaya. Because I had juice, papaya and lime juice, but I was like, you should drink this. Like, that has so much sugar in the chocolate bar. And then she's like, so, or she'll just like brush it off. And then my mom was like, because we're in the car, mind you, but my mom was like, oh, that's not how we speak to our elders in our culture. And literally, this person has, like, I'm not going to talk about my family like that, but literally, um, then they wonder why they have health shocks or scares or concerns. And it's like, look at what you're eating, dude. Literally, look at what you're eating. And it's so strange. That's the other part of like me being like so intelligent and aware and still like outcasted because it's like I genuinely hold so much knowledge and I know so much and I was like the first in my family to try to become a vegan. I was vegan for 6 months, but also my family didn't support me with that. So it was certain things that they would cook and it had like shredded cheese, I mean like Parmesan cheese on a spaghetti or meat in the spaghetti sauce, just like stuff like that, and they wouldn't mention it. Or I don't even want to bring that up because I'd get triggered again. But it's like, oh yeah, we made you a salad for dinner. It's like, okay, this is a house salad, like you know what I'm saying? There is no protein in it. Um, just water basically, like spinach, iceberg lettuce, shredded carrots, and some cherry tomatoes. Like, wow, yeah, okay, that's not gonna do anything for me. Um, and then sitting next to them having to eat is, oh my gosh. But anyway, it's like, and that too, like, I want to eventually get to a place where I am someone who lives off the land completely, someone who's fully surrounded by a community of people who like live in that Asian type of culture, I genuinely have wanted to visit Japan since I was a toddler. I'm not joking. I literally at one point was like, I'm gonna adopt a Chinese baby because at that time they were not allowing people to have daughters or something. I remember that news article and I was like, huh? What? They only want to have boys? And then now it's a thing about declining birth rates, but whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna adopt a girl from China just so they can have a better life. Meanwhile, I was literally the age of the person I wanted to hypothetically adopt, so it was kind of funny. Um, but I want to become a vegan. I want to live off the land. I want to have like an animal sanctuary would be really fire, super fire, or just be like a farmer. But just like surrounded by peace and like nature, the cycles of nature, the cycles of life and death and rebirth, all of that. That's what I want. Not conflict, low vibration, psychosis, and mind control. Which is all I view the US as now, honestly. Like, capitalism is literally the death of this planet. And we see it with global warming and nanoplastics and technology that's trying to think for us. Isn't that crazy? Well, I'm always going to be anti this country. Which is also why I'm cool with my content not getting that much views anymore because I'm like, okay, that's an ego driven thing, right? But I know that if I'm speaking out on their platforms, they're not going to promote it. So, yeah. And that's another reason why I've been posting so much on YouTube that was from my TikTok. Because I'm like, they're suppressing my content. I know it. And that was another reason why I also did that that side account at that time before I deleted my main account, and just did like kind of thirst trap dancing, belly dancing videos because I wanted to genuinely see if the algorithm was pushing that over other things. And like one time I posted the exact same video on both of my accounts, and the privated like backup account got like over 1,000 views like within minutes, or not minutes, but within the hour that was posted. And the other one got like three, four views, and I was like, wow, yeah. Excuse me. It is definitely something here. Confirmation. Um, but I said a lot. I've said a lot. Truly, tonight. It's been an hour and 51 minutes, and I guess I needed this live, right? Um, but I really want to show up and show the world more of myself, and I just had to let this storm pass through recently. Um, and there will always be storms in life. It's a cycle of nature, but you don't have to let it uproot you. You don't have to let it drown you. And I am going to learn other languages and practice the greetings on here. So, as I said before, peace unto you. Etzepu. And I will see you later.